Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I think I'm live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, I am live. Okay. Welcome to the White Wave Views broadcast, the WWVB, coming to you live from Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, presented by the Pakeha Queen, that's me. Now, if you don't know, in my lives I talk about the worldwide war on whites and Christians and how it's being played out here in New Zealand and who are the bad actors, what are they doing and what can we do about it. Okay, so I've talked a lot about the problems that we're facing here in New Zealand, so I'm not going to harp on about that too much tonight, but I do have a YouTube channel, and when I do my videos here I upload them to my YouTube channel, which I will put in the links below. Now I'm coming from my personal page tonight because my other page that I've got, which is the Pakeha protest, is restricted at the moment, and there's not much I can do on it except type a post, type some text, and comment. And so I had a backup page, but I don't have enough people on that one at the moment to go live. You've got to have 100 people, so I'm encouraging people to like and follow that other page of mine as well, so I can get these messages through, because we want our Pakeha voice to be heard. And it seems that, you know, there's thousands of other cultural pages on social media, but it seems to be a problem when Pakeha want to have a page, or when white people want to do something to talk about their concerns and discuss our concerns about how these threats that are happening, these sudden changes in our nation, and how it's impacting us, and nobody wants to really hear about it. So there's one reason why our voices aren't heard, and that's because we don't have a corporate council, we don't have a leadership, we don't have a channel to interface with the government or other ethnic groups in New Zealand that we need to have some kind of correspondence with at least. They're all doing their thing and we're getting left out, and we're really feeling it. So we need to come together and do something about it, and this is what I'm going to talk about tonight. Okay, so we are in a state of disrepair here in New Zealand. Kiwis are crying out for a halt to all these threats that are eroding our cultural heritage, dragging our name through the mud, and running decolonisation programs. I mean, what does that even mean? I don't really know what it means, but the objectives of these anti-Pakeha radical extremists just doesn't look good, and it's not making anything better. It's racist, it's apartheid, it's separatism, and we're calling it out. But what we're also doing in the meantime is we're following the same track. You know, why is it that all the other cultures in New Zealand are doing their own thing, self-serving, you know, shunning us, not even employing us? The benchmark and the bar's being set in New Zealand by radical extremists that hate our colonial heritage, and they want to scrape it away. Now they're saying that the colonial parks that we created, you know, these public parks, they remind them of colonial scars. Well, come on, you need to stop with your lies. You're mirroring yourself onto us. You were the savages, and we came with the gospel into a hostile environment. We bridged that gap with humanitarian and evangelical programs that worked, and those old Maori people, they loved us. The treaty chiefs had special treaties with us. Okay, they gifted us lands, and they wanted our ministry to be aki, aki, aki. Okay, so we're on a mission. Okay, our mission sent here by God. We're native now, we're native whites, we're Pakeha. Now you might not like the name, okay, but keep it in your top pocket, because we're the other race and partner of the treaty, and it means something, and we're literally in a legal battle. So I'd love for European New Zealanders not to drag the Pakeha name through the mud. Keep it in your top pocket, keep it in your purse. Something exciting is coming, okay? We've got a plan. So, I'm really all about solutions. Our nation is under domestic and foreign attack. We have a certain amount of threats going on, and we want to hang on to our heritage, and we want to make the Pakeha name great again. We want to have our own cultural centres, and we want our voice to be heard on the national stage and the international stage as native white Pakeha. So we're forming a council, and we're looking for candidates. Okay, it's not a political party, but it's a socio-political movement. And out of this movement, somebody might want to start a political party, but what we're going for is reserve seats. We're going for the same as what they gave the Maori people, and they didn't balance it out by giving us the same rights according to the 3rd article of the treaty. We had the same rights and duties. So our country's in peril because the Pakeha voice has been left out. We've been shut out of the Waitangi Tribunal, and we haven't been able to challenge and defend our name. So there's a lot to do, people, and we've got a plan and we've got a process. Okay, we're looking for justice and unity. Okay, and we feel like we've been impacted. We haven't been afforded the same rights as the Maori have. They've been favoured and privileged, and yet they call us privileged. So our Pakeha children are missing out. They're not having educational access to their wonderful heritage here in New Zealand and the achievements that their ancestors made. We don't want them to go to school and feel like they're guilty about something when we did a great work for God, and we still are, and our mission has not finished, people. Okay? Our Pakeha culture is going to have a renaissance. Okay, we're reinventing and we're adapting. Okay, don't say it's separatist, because remember, all the other cultures and races out there have got their little huddle cult, right, and their associations, societies and organisations. I mean, there's so many of them, and we don't even have one. So we've got to break through that adversity of people saying that we're racist and white supremacist. Okay, we just want to be part of the mix on an equal basis. And we do have family that goes back to the late 1700s and the early 1800s. There's a lot of descendants here. And we're not happy, okay, about this defamation, blaming and shaming us and blaspheming our faith. Okay, the faith of New Zealand is Christianity, and that was what was agreed with by the treaty chiefs. And nothing else can layer itself over the top of that, no matter how much it tries. Okay, in Jesus' mighty name, that is. A lot of people don't like my religious talk, but I'm not religious, and I'm not affiliated with any church apart from the Protestant movement, okay, because the Protestant movement was the protesters of anything that was binding, like the Vatican and that sort of thing, other religions. We protested that, and the idea of Protestantism is that you don't get involved in religion, that you come to understand and have a personal relationship with Jesus if you want to, or you can live that way of life, which is basically the way that we're living here in the democratic New Zealand. It's because Christianity was brought in, okay? So don't forget that. You must honour the Pakeha people for that. So let me talk about the objectives of the Pakeha movement and our plan and what we're doing. Okay, so in a nutshell, okay, I've been working on this for a while now, and I'm working together with some other people as well, and I need more help and I need more ideas. So I'm going to put some links below after I finish this live in the comments that you can look up and get an idea of what we're all about. And there's going to be some amazing opportunities. We're going to have branding, and we're going to have a campaign. Now what we're going to do is we're going to follow in the footsteps of Whina Cooper, who did the Land March in 1975. Before that, in the early 1950s, she started the Maori Women's League, and she got a real good network going around the country. And of course they had all their maraes, so they had a set up already. Very easy for people to function with having campaigns and protests and getting things going if you've already been funded and set up with that network, which Maori were. Okay, now unfortunately they've used that network and the funding that they get to weave a lot of defamation about Pakeha and graphic stories about the past, and they've twisted and revised the treaty, and we've got a lot of complaints about the flawed fiction and bait that's been going through the Waitangi Tribunal. So part of our movement is to challenge those narratives, okay, and also celebrate colonialism. Just like everybody else celebrates their culture here, we want to celebrate us as well. And a lot of our culture has been erased away, eroded away, and we're going to bring it back. Okay, so we're going to do what is going to be called the Colonial Mission March, and it's going to be in February 2027. So we've got a year and 3 or 4 months to plan it, and we're going to need that because we need to get other people supporting it, because once we do our mission march and we end up at Parliament, we're going to have all our ducks in a row and everything's going to be ready with our paperwork to hand over, okay, with our declaration, a memorial of rights, which we're going to include Commonwealth rights plus native rights, because what we're doing is we're getting 100 descendants of the early 1800s pioneers who are considered lawfully and legally native now as a Pakeha race, and we are also declaring the Bright Light Treaty of 1860 as the treaty that, if we want to be treaty centred, okay, if we want to go back there and be treaty centred, we have to do what the last will and testament of the 150 native treaty chiefs together with the governors in 1860, they nullified the 1840 Treaty of Waitangi because it was broken by the rebellion and it was dishonoured and it was misunderstood. So after 20 years of it, they came together and there was some problems, and they resolved those problems and set down some principles and obligations. Okay, now nobody, after the last treaty chief died, nobody can turn around and say that they said something else, or that we have to go by the 1840 treaty, which was cancelled. Nobody has to abide by the 1840 treaty, so we're going to bring that forth. We're going to stand by the Bright Light Treaty, okay? Te Tiriti o Kohi Marama Niturani 1860, that was created. It was the new treaty and it had obligations. And so we're going to have that drawn up, and we're going to have a declaration of our own independent Pakeha Council body, where we want to have our voice around the table with decision making and framing and shaping the future of New Zealand, because we believe that we're second place. If the Maoris was here first, which we don't subscribe to, there was all manner of all sorts of different types of people that were mixed breeds. Okay, when the English missionaries came and the settlers came, there was all manner of people from mixed breeds over the hundreds of years where people had come and gone on ships in New Zealand. Okay, the official narrative of our past is what you make it. It's open to interpretation, it's open to different worldviews, different perceptions and perspectives. So if we're going to have a solid, this is exactly what happened, there needs to be a debate and a discussion about that. And we believe that because Pakeha haven't been in the mix, our intelligence and our ancestral DNA and our defence and our interests and our priorities haven't been met. It's all been done without us. So this is why we need a council. Okay, it's nothing racist about it. We just need to adapt into it. Okay, because this is what's going to bring educational unity and a cohesion between all of us. Okay, people need to understand where we're coming from as well. It's just not all about Maori. It can't just be all about them. It was a bicultural agreement, and the Maori and the Pakeha are supposed to be participating, partnering and protecting each other. That's what it's all about. The Crown is supposed to be governing both of us equally. Okay, you're not supposed to be helping to govern us. We don't need your help. Okay, I think the government needs us to help, us Pakeha. I think we need reserve seats, and that's what we're going for. So bear in mind, if you want to come on board as a member of our movement and you want to be a candidate for our council, and then there'll be elections, of course, and if we get those reserve seats, but then, you know, a few of our council members will be candidates and elected into those seats, just like the Maoris do. They've got their Maori party. Can have our Pakeha party as well. I'm not starting a party, by the way, and I don't want to be an MP. I'm the Queen. I'm the one that's actually, running this hive of ours, getting it started. I'm going to do the magic and splash things around. I had something interesting happen the other day. I got some images from a photographer. Okay, I can't tell you who it was. But we're going to turn these images into something great, and we're going to launch a movement, and we're going to spend over a year planning it and going through a step-by-step process. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow in the footsteps of Whina Cooper, who was the mother of the nation for the Maoris, with her slogan, "Not one more acre." Okay, so she went down through all the maraes to Parliament with a petition. So we're going to follow in the same footsteps. They had a memorandum of rights. They've written a lot of their own stuff and managed to just have it fed through everywhere, and the government's just sort of pandered to them and let them do it. Okay, to our detriment. And now they're defaming and shaming and being racist towards us. And it's an open slather racism on Pakeha and colonials and white people all around the world. And I just don't think the government should be letting it happen to us here. They haven't listened to us. We don't have a channel. We don't have a Crown Relations Minister. Excuse me. There's no portfolio for us. We don't have a place anywhere. There's no Pakeha or anything except my pages, and I'm getting hammered. I'm getting threatened. I'm getting hammered. Nobody wants us to have a voice. We're the suppressed ones. We're the marginalised ones. I mean, when you really look at it, we are. Our children go to school and they get hammered with Maori and gay, which is totally anti-Christian. They're not getting any Christian teaching, okay, what was supposed to be in there. There's not supposed to be any religion in schools. That's why they took Christianity out. But they made that space and that gap, and all other men of devil-inspired ideas have crept in, those ideologies. And we've got something to say about that. Okay? I mean, we're standing up on behalf of the treaty chiefs, because those Maori radicals aren't doing it anymore. They talk about tupuna, but which tupuna? The Kingitanga. They are representing the Kingites that genocided the Pakeha farmers and rampaged through the land through the Waikato. And a lot of those troops that came to fight the Kingitanga War, okay, started little townships. And those small colonial townships today, most of them are just overtaken by Maori people, and the towns just turn to crime, and they've been taken over and they're gone, and we've been driven out. Okay, so it's all right to say, oh, Maori were dispersed, Maori were... No, we gave them every ample opportunity. It was only the rebels that fought, and they lost land and lives, because they continued to fight and break the treaty all the time. Now, these are the buggers that got the tribunal and are sitting in our parliament, the rebels, not the righteous. I don't know what the government thinks they're doing. But when it comes to our mission, it hasn't stopped. The mission of the Pakeha Christian. Okay? Now, the flag behind me here, we're taking our flag back, by the way. Okay, this isn't a Maori flag. No. The flag that they adopted from this one, when they were borrowing British ships to take trade to Australia, they had to have a flag. They had to have a British flag. Okay, so they chose the Church Missionary Society flag, this one, that was flying at the Church Missionary Societies, okay, in the early 1800s. All right, the missionaries that came and, took them from death to life. That's what this flag is, the St. George's Cross flag. Okay, and it was the colonial flag for New Zealand, because we didn't have an office at the time. We were going through the New South Wales office, but this was a mission station flag up north, and this is where the supplies came and went from. Okay, so it represented a shipping trade already. Okay, not Maori. What the Maori did, when they wanted to borrow British ships to trade their goods, they needed to have a flag, but it had to be a little bit different. So they chose this flag, but their one had a white fimbre around the red cross here, as opposed to a black one. The black one is the Church Missionary Society. The white one was the one that the Northern Maoris used, and it was nothing to do with sovereignty of the nation. It was to do with sovereignty and shipping. It all had to be registered through the monarchy, and it had to be done properly with the declaration that they were independently trading, okay, using. It wasn't their own trade. They didn't have their own ships. There was no sovereignty of the nation. Why would that's not going to happen. It doesn't make sense. These stories they're telling today are lies. Don't believe it. We're taking our flag back. This is the mission flag, and we're still on a mission. Okay, now this is a heritage flag. It's basically obsolete, and it was replaced by the New Zealand flag. But the Maoris are waving it around, wrapping themselves in it. They're using it, and they're telling porkies about it. Okay, so the black fimbre is the Church Missionary Society, and I'm taking it back. It's my flag, and it's the flag for our Pakeha movement. Okay, because we're on a mission, right? So we're going to follow in the footsteps of Whina, and I'm going to be Queena, Quhina, and it's going to be Queena in the Pakeha Colonial Mission March. Okay, we're going to follow in the footsteps. Whina had not one more acre was her slogan. She wanted to stop the sale of land. And how far has that travelled? But Queena leads Pakeha, that's me, Queena, leads Pakeha on a mission to restore colonial authority, land, yes, we need land restoration too, and the Bright Light Treaty, restoration and resurgence of the Bright Light Treaty, with her slogan, not one more mind. Okay, so we're going to have a Colonial Mission March, and our slogan is not one more mind, because people are being brainwashed, people are being indoctrinated. You know, they're trying to get all of their mixed up language in the law, and only they know what it means because it's a secret, and everybody else has to do what they say. This has gone too far, people. This is having a huge impact. These radicals in our parliament have got to be kicked out, or they've got to let us have reserved seats so we can deal with it, because the government is folding, they're floundering, they don't know what to do. They're allowing these people to play up in our parliament so they can get some footage to send it around the world, and that's what they did when Hana did that haka, and then Orini did the haka. They're sending it around the world, and they're getting awarded. Like Hana got some Time magazine award. I mean, these people are criminals. These people are fraud, fiction and fake. They're breaking the rules in our parliament, and they get awarded around the world. There's something wrong with this, people, and it's because we haven't had a voice. We're suppressed. We're silenced. We're cancelled. We're the ones that are marginalised. We're not being heard by the government at all. It's too dangerous for us to even try and have a meeting somewhere without getting abused and attacked at the door. It happened to Julian Batchelor. It wasn't Pakeha meetings, but a lot of Pakeha older people were going, listening to his presentations about how we've been taught wrongly about our history and the treaty, and he was bringing forth truth, and they didn't like it and they made a disturbance. We've never made a disturbance at any Maori meetings, and they've had millions. They book out every event for their meetings, but they won't allow us to come together, and they're even hammering me about having a Pakeha page. Okay, but I'm going to push through, and I'm going to keep going with it, and we're going to have our Colonial Mission March in February 27. We've got a lot of time to plan, and I just want to get people on board as much as possible to know about it. Okay, we're going to do it in a very strategic way. Okay, we're not going to walk from the top of the country down. Okay, we're going to do it in another way, because it's dangerous for us to do that. We'd just be attacked. We couldn't do it. Okay, that's why we're having this Pakeha movement, because we're sick and tired of being scared of Maori people. Okay, and not going out there speaking our voice, and I'm going to put my neck out. That's why I'm the queen. Okay, because I'm starting from the top, working my way down. And there's not much a queen can't do on the chessboard. Okay, I'm a good chess player, and I've made a few moves in the background. I've made a package up. There's a lot of components to this movement that are all going to come together, and we're going to have an amazing campaign. We're going to have a website and branding. We're going to be the next mega cultural trend, and we're going to show people what the Pakeha culture is. You understand me? So this is what's happening. This is how we have to do it. Otherwise, we're going to get lost. We've got a legal battle as well, and we're filing cases. Okay, we're taking this straight to the bank. We honestly are. We've been extorted from. We've had Crown land given to Maori that should be in the hands of Pakeha. We've had the schools taken over. We've had our colonial institutions usurped by the woke bloke and tribal choke. And we haven't got a word in. We're not even getting employed anymore. They're crushing us deliberately. It's like an utu. Okay, so we've got to combat that with the spirit of God. This is for God and country, for patriots and all of those people, all of those groups and individuals in New Zealand with an initiative and a project that haven't had your voices heard. When we get set up, you're going to have your voice heard. Okay, because this here is going to turn into a podcast, and it's going to turn into Pakeha TV in the future. Okay, it might take years to get what we want, but if we keep going, we will get it. Okay, so the idea is you be persistent, you be determined. We've got the mandate, we've got the anointing, it's the right time. Okay, everybody's sick and tired of the monster, aren't we? The monster machine that's been extorting from us and scratching our eyes at. And hasn't the little white bear been poked enough, people? Haven't you had enough of the racism? And how they're getting away with it, this horrible, horrible racism. You know, it seems to be okay to slag the whites. Well, we've got to stand against this, because there's only 8% of us in the world left. We're the minority. And while we've got the majority here in New Zealand, this is when we need to set ourselves up in the midst of it all, so we get our voices heard and we make it count, okay? So we're going to be doing this. Keep it in mind. Lock it in your diary. Okay. So this is just talking in the third person. Queena's drive, that's Queena is me. Quina. Queena's drive is to, I can't even read that, is to challenge the revision of our history, focusing on the impact it has had on New Zealand Europeans and their interests, especially the shared agreement between the native Maori chiefs, who acknowledged and recognised the need to set standards and principles. This is 20 years after the treaty was signed, and they were talking about the problems that we were having. Now, the 5 main problems that they discussed at the Kohimarama conference in 1860 were given effect to by the government until 1975. You know, they started to give Maori more rights and setups and organisations, and over the last 50 years it's really grown to about 4,000 exclusive organisations for Maori, and they begrudge us having one. We can't even apply for cultural funding under the Pakeha name. It just doesn't even exist. You know, they're not going to fund anyone from the UK. They might continental Europe, like if you come from Croatia, you might be able to get some funding for the Croatia Club, or whatever you belong to. But we're going to have the Pakeha Club. Okay, we need to set some standards and get back to the fact that there are 2 races to the treaty, Pakeha and Maori. Okay, none of these other races here. It's Pakeha and Maori. Okay, my ancestors come in 1838. You know, they bought land that was negotiated with the chiefs. I don't know what land has been given back to Maori that was ours, but we want to find out, okay? We want 50 years of scouring through historical records and cherry picking what we want to know what's been going on behind closed doors. You should have involved us in the hearings and you didn't, and now we want 50 years of it too. We're going to demand it, because that's what the treaty says. Okay, if you want to be treaty-centred, then it's Treaty 1860 for us. Okay, and we're going to put all of these documents together. Our objectives are educational unity in terms of history and the evolving treaty. Okay, so that's one of our goals. Educational unity will bring peace and harmony. Okay, we need a balance. You know, we need to talk about what's good about everybody's race. The Pakeha and the Maori fight is just not about us anymore. There's so many other people here now, and they're seeing us have this fight, and they're seeing the racism against us whites, and they think it's normal. So, you know, they're scared of us. They don't even know how to approach us. They don't even know who we are or our history. Okay, so we need to connect with them, and we only can connect with them if we have a society and association organisation as well. Because all our other European associations, like the Country Women's Club and Institution, and just so many, have all been taken over and usurped. We need to start afresh and start again. Okay, so educational unity is very important. Political representation is very important as well. Okay, we need those reserved seats. Okay, and we need to be able to speak for our Pakeha people and our interests that have been eroded and forgotten and ignored. Okay, especially the shared interests with the treaty chiefs, tikanga Christianity. Okay, we're not going to see that knocked out the window anymore. We're going to bring it back and restore it. Yeah, like Trump's doing in America, he's bringing Christianity lessons back into schools. Okay, because you're not allowed to shut the kingdom of heaven up to children. You do not own your children. You are not supposed to be bringing your children up without the word of God, because they could spend their whole life not knowing it, okay, or hating it, hating Christian people because you haven't taught them the word of God. The word of God teaches kids to respect and values and morals. That's what it does. That's what we need back into society. I'm sick of seeing this filth. It just turns my stomach. All this disgusting, immoral filth. We had a good country once and we all enjoyed it. And we loved each other and we had a good community. We had the oneness. But somebody didn't like it. Some little group of grievances from the Kingitanga era. Now, why was it that the Kingitanga was set up and funded by the government to reform again when we all fought against them? We fought a war for our freedom from them. They genocided Pakeha farmers. This was the Kingitanga, and they were allowed to buy land in Ngaruawahia, which was a Pakeha colonial town that was set up as a safe space during those Kingi wars, and they come in, they let them buy 10 acres to set up their, oh, we're going to set up a marae and work the land, oh, very nice, a whole load of gypsy Maoris from wherever, and then boom, the next thing it's the Kingitanga Parliament headquarters. Something's wrong with that, people. Okay, something is wrong with it. All of these things are like a runaway locomotive. And the government just doesn't know what to do. We voted them in to stop all this stuff, and all it's done is just tenfold. Okay, so they need us. The country needs us to band together. We're the guardians sent by God on a mission. Our mission hasn't ended. The whole place needs to be evangelising again. We need to open up outreaches for these people, you know, to deliver them from witchcraft. That's what we're meant to be doing. The churches have failed. I've got a problem with the churches, honestly. I'm going to be hopefully getting around talking to them, because as Fina Cooper went down through the maraes with her message and getting her petition signed, I'm going to go through the churches and I'm going to be giving them our message and we're going to be performing songs, my songs, because I'm a singer-songwriter and I'm an author, and I'm also going to have my book ready by then too. Okay, a lot of work's being done and there's a lot of components going into this. Okay, this is just an overnight thought. I've been walking with the Lord all my life since I saw a vision of Jesus when I was 7. So I want people to believe in me, okay? Who else is leading? You know, there's a lot of groups doing a lot of good things, okay, but there's no leadership. This is the problem. Okay, so we're going to start with the Queen, and there's nothing a Queen can't do. Okay, so I'm here at your service. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'll go and do it. Okay, I've got a plan, a step-by-step process, and along the way that can be creatively designed by a lot of different people. Otherwise, I'll just do it for myself to start with. Okay, I need somebody to help me put a really cool website together and do some branding and logos, and I've got some images. Okay, these are special images by a special photographer. Okay, and he's given us the go-ahead to do what we want with them. Okay, so I'm only playing one part. Okay, this is going to be teamwork. Come on, I need some people who are digital creators. There's thousands of them out there. Digital creators. Now, if you come on board with the Pakeha movement, okay, and sponsor us to start, okay, you're going to get all the contracts, okay, because this is going to go off. Okay, so get in now and get the opportunity now. Volunteer, sponsor, do something to get us off the ground, and you will reap, and it will become an asset for you and all of those who will benefit as members. If you don't want to be a Pakeha, you don't like the movement, then you don't have to be a part of the movement. Okay? Those who are part of it will benefit from what we get in the end. Okay? So stick with us, stand behind me, and you'll go far. Yeah, we want to design some digital posters and flyers, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be contacting all the main churches down the trunk line, down State Highway 1 from Whangarei right through. I've got 10 cities that we're going to stop at. Okay, and I'm going to have it all organised beforehand that they're going to host us. And we're going to do a bit of a performance. I'm going to have a testimony, and then we're going to give a message and get people to sign the petition and look at our paperwork and our declaration. Okay, so that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to pre-arrange it all. It's going to be churches that are willing to host us. Most of them will probably say no, but that's just going to expose how the churches have become. Okay, so this is how God does a ministry. It's all about defense and judgment. Okay, so you're either going to be judged by God or you'll be defended by God. And you choose which you want to be in the valley of decision as the Spirit of the Lord comes. Okay, the anointing of the Lord always comes after a rising of evil. Okay, and He provides the wave. And He knows the plan and purpose that He has for us. We just have to follow the people that have got the revelation, like me, that have got the prophetic mantle, like me, that have got the boldness, have got the, the parody, the satire, a bit of comedy about it, a bit of seriousness, a bit of everything. I believe that I have the X factor because I've been researching and studying for quite a long time, and I've got a lot of different bits of information that I've connected the dots together. And together in prayer, I've come up with a really good plan with the help of God. Okay, and what I'm asking for is people to believe in me. And as you go along and get to know me, you'll get to know who I am and my background and what have you. When my book comes out, you'll know even more. But there's a lot of ducks that have been put in a row for this, and it's all coming to a peak, and it's all coming to a head. And this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Okay, so don't forget it. Queena in the Pakeha, the Colonial Mission March. It's going to be a Whina 2.0 for the Pakeha. Okay, we're just going to follow the same steps so they can't talk against us, they can't say anything about it. We're basically going for the same thing. We want our priorities considered. Okay, we're okay with having other cultures here and having their festivals and, layering their culture over us. They just can't keep it to themselves. They have to do it in the public sphere. Okay, well, we want more colonial. We want just as much as colonial as we've got Maori. Okay, that's what we want. Just as much colonial as we've got Maori, because that is the equal rights. And then everybody else. Okay, Maoris say they're the first here, they're indigenous. They're not indigenous, they've been told that they're not. Okay, they're from a mixture of all races from around the world. The many communities and hundreds of people that lived here, thousands in New Zealand from all sorts of different races that interbred, came and went on ships and all sorts. Okay, till eventually the warring tribes started to dominate and wiping everybody out, and that's when the peaceful tribes called upon the Brits. Now, we answered that call of God, and we haven't finished our call of God, okay? So you can't say anything about it. We were under a covenant, okay, together with the treaty chiefs, our declaration, our bright light treaty, okay, our mandate, our anointing, our plan and process. Okay, I've got a proposal for the Pakeha, okay? And I want you to know what it is, and I want you to know that it's all for you. Okay, I will do, as a queen, what you want me to do. and there's not much that a queen can't do. And once that person, that queen, is acknowledged, it becomes a real thing, because thoughts are things. If you follow and support somebody, it eventually becomes a real thing. This is what happens with the king and the queens of the Maoris. They've got a fictitious monarchy, okay? At least we, as Pakeha Christians, are part of the royal household of God. Who are they part of if they're not Christians? They've walked away from God and walked away from Christianity. They need another revival. But first of all, we have to restore our place as Pakeha. We have to edify and equip the body, our cultural body of people. Whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't matter. The word works. The word of God works really well for harmony and peace in society and goodness and what is true and good and right. We've got too many scams, we've got too many hoaxes, there's too much fraud and there's too much deception, and we're calling it out and we're going to bring the truth on through. Okay, so we're going to provide an umbrella with this movement that everybody else's initiative and project can come under, and you'll be able to have your voice heard once we set it up really well. So we need your support. We also need financial donations, because I'm playing one part and I'm setting up a lot that I don't have a bank account. Okay, I'm not one of those privileged Pakehas. So we need a couple of rich people to finance us, or even loan us some money to start getting our corporate organisation set up in our website. Once we've got that little engine room, I think that we could really spread the word, and eventually we'll be able to self-fund a lot with merchandise and all that sort of thing. We need somebody to sponsor us, to finance us, please. Please contact me. I'll put my email below. And yeah, we need a philanthropist, because we don't have a treasury. And we can't apply for funding until we are set up as a corporate organisation. Okay, we need to get a lawyer involved. I need 3 people to meet me at the bank as trustees to do signing and things like that. We want to have a proper trust account set up. People don't like putting into personal bank accounts, so we need a trust account that is monitored and legitimate. Okay, but to begin with, we just have to start for now. So email me if you'd like to make a donation. I'm also going to put a website in the comments below. It's just a free one that I hashed together. It's just got info and ideas, and while we wait till we can develop a better one. So like I said, digital creators, branding creators, especially people that are in Auckland, because that's where I live and I want to be able to get face to face with you. So if you help us start out, I think that you could have some quite big contracts in the future if you stick with the Pakeha movement. We're going to be the next mega cultural trend. I'll tell you, everybody's sick of the Maorification, and we're coming for the deception, and we are going to celebrate colonialism. Okay? Anyway, bye for now. See you next time.